Hello friends, this is Liuba, and today we will make simple yet very delicious tartlets with hazelnuts in caramel. These tartlets have a rich, intense flavor, a warm aroma of nuts and caramel, and they are very attractive and appetizing. Let us start cooking. We will need shortcrust pastry tartlet shells like these, shaped like small baskets. If you wish, you can choose another shape, for example round. A very detailed recipe for preparing shortcrust dough, and such shells is available in a separate video on my channel. I will leave a link to it in the description beneath this video. Let us prepare frangipane. It is a baked nut cream with a bold flavor and aroma, and it pairs perfectly with the shortcrust base. For the frangipane, we will need pomade butter. This is butter that has been slightly softened to a temperature of about 14 to 16 degrees. Sugar, eggs, and a blend of hazelnut and almond flour. My hazelnut flour is toasted. It lends the cream an especially rich flavor and an incredible aroma. We beat the butter together with the sugar until creamy. Then we add the eggs and mix with the mixer until combined. After that, we add the nut flour and mix again. This yields a very aromatic nut cream. Before using it, it is advisable to chill it for at least half an hour or 1 hour. Then we fill the bottom of the tartlet shells with frangipane. It is convenient to do this using a pastry bag. We need only a little frangipane, about 1/3 of the height of the shell, because it will rise during baking. Since we will bake the tartlets with the frangipane, an important point is that the shells in this case have been baked until half done. This means the dough has already set and holds its shape, yet it remains slightly soft and has not baked completely. The shells are still pale. This is a sign of underbaking. In other words, we left a margin so that they can finish baking together with the frangipane. Then the color of the shells will become bright golden brown with a caramel hue. Bake the tartlets with the frangipane at the same temperature for about 12 more minutes. Use the frangipane itself as your guide because it will turn matte, firm up slightly, and no longer look wet. This is how the finished baked frangipane looks. Take note of the tartlets as well. They have finished baking, turned very golden, and developed a rich color. That is why it is important not to bring the shells to full doneness before filling them with frangipane. Otherwise, during the second baking, they might burn. Let us prepare the main filling, nuts in caramel. We will need peeled and toasted hazelnuts. I really like the combination of hazelnuts and caramel. Yet if you wish, you may choose other nuts or make a nut assortment. For the caramel, we will need sugar, glucose syrup, butter, and heavy cream, with a fat content of 33%. I will add a little cardamom. I very much enjoy how it accents the flavor. And of course, flaky fleur de sel. For me, salt in caramel is essential, but you may add it according to your preference. We combine the cream with the butter and heat it until it is as hot as possible, so that the butter melts completely. It should be brought to the point where the first steam appears, but do not allow it to boil. At the same time, we start cooking the caramel. We place the glucose syrup and part of the sugar in the saucepan and set it over the heat. I gently shake the saucepan so that the sugar blends evenly with the glucose. And once the sugar begins to melt and a caramel color appears, you can help incorporate the sugar with a heat-proof spatula, using short strokes inside the saucepan. When the mixture has become liquid and all the sugar has melted, sprinkle in the next portion of sugar and stir it with the spatula into the melted caramel layer. If you notice the sugar is melting unevenly, you may lift the saucepan slightly off the heat so it will not start to burn. If the sugar sticks to the spatula, you can scrape it off with a knife inside the saucepan without taking the spatula out. We continue like this, sprinkling sugar in small portions into the already melted caramel, and each time stirring it in until it dissolves. We repeat this process until all of the sugar has gone into the caramel. When the final portion has been added, it is important to bring the mixture to a bright amber shade and make sure not a single sugar crystal remains. The temperature of the caramel will reach 175 to 180 degrees. We return to the cream. At this point, it should be as hot as possible. If the cream has had time to cool, be sure to heat it again. The caramel has reached a high temperature, has turned a bright amber color, and no sugar crystals remain. We pour about 1/3 of the very hot cream into the caramel and let the caramel disperse a little in the cream. We do not stir yet. At this stage, there is a lot of hot steam, so be careful. Then we pour in the remaining cream and gently stir over low heat. Our task is for the caramel to blend completely with the cream and become uniform. There is no need to reduce the caramel. We remove the caramel from the heat and add cardamom if you have chosen to use it. We stir well, and this is the caramel we obtain, thick, rich, and very aromatic. We pour the caramel over the nuts that were prepared in advance, add salt, and stir quickly. When the caramel meets the nuts, it begins to cool and thicken rapidly, so it is important to stir thoroughly in time so that every nut is coated with caramel. Using a teaspoon, we immediately fill the tartlets with the nuts in caramel. This amount of filling is enough for exactly 8 tartlet shells. It is also possible to use another caramel, for example. There are recipes for chocolate coffee caramel and creamy caramel on my channel. I will leave the links in the description under the video. But this particular caramel is ideal for these tartlets. It coats the nuts in a thin layer. There is no extra caramel and it does not run hot. If you would like to make the tartlets even more interesting and serve them as little baskets with nuts, you can add a decorative handle like this. For this purpose, we cut thin rims from the dough, divide them in half, and bake until completely done. And then, with the help of caramel, we fasten the handles onto the baskets. It looks original and festive. Just look at the tartlets we end up with. Golden brown baskets filled with nuts and glossy caramel. Their flavor is very harmonious. A crisp short crust base, delicate nut cream, frangipane, and on top fragrant hazelnuts coated with a thin layer of caramel. The aroma offers warm, nutty notes with a hint of caramel and a spicy accent of cardamom. The tartlets look striking and appealing. Friends, that is all I have for now. Thank you for your attention. We will meet in new videos. Bye-bye.